Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where a husband and wife team go over all the storytelling, world building, and characters of video games. Because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yep, and this is episode 145.
Welcome to another fantastic episode to help distract from all the awful things I'm avoiding in the news today. But we're glad to have you here and to have a little respite together.
I'm not sure how much of a respite this one's going to be.
Oh no, Mystic, what are you doing to us? We're supposed to be here for entertainment only. Oh wait, except for all those times we went getting political.
Yeah, there'll be a smidge of that today, not a lot though.
Okay, all right.
Before we get into the episode and the political aspects, there's honestly not a lot today. If you'd like to contact us, you can do it in many different ways. Instagram, Blue Sky, Reddit, YouTube, Steam, and Discord down in the description below. Or you can contact us via email at loretogether@gmail.com. You can visit our website at loretogether.com. where you can, I don't know. We don't have a lot of stuff on the website. You can listen to the podcast, but you're already doing that.
The podcast is there. Patreon stuff is there.
Safi's page is there.
Yes, my page is there. Mystic will have a page there once he gets his stuff together and starts writing under his name.
But if you'd like to support us, there's two ways you can do that. Soon to be three. Eventually, when Safi gets to it.
Shush.
The first is 5 stars, thumbs up, wherever you're listening. Whatever it is, we appreciate it. The other way is through Patreon at patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to episodes, exclusive access to Let's Plays for Cyberpunk, Dragon Age. I think put the Riven up there one even.
I think
and
so.
Firmament, quite a few games. Those will be continuing soon.
We did have a Gen Con we went to, which is how this episode is delayed and our schedule got pushed back.
They will be continuing soon. I do promise that. Also, voting rights in our public Let's Plays, like our currently running Mass Effect 2 Let's Play.
Yes.
You do get voting rights in chat in general, but voting rights for the big choices beforehand, and then in chat, if we have last-minute choices or stuff that we didn't want to spoil for some of our viewers, patrons get double the votes, so...
Yes,
we hope
that's
you enjoyed
true.
that. And if you join us, you will also join the ranks of our newest patron, Catnap92.
Hey, Catnap. Hope you're feeling rested.
Thank you for joining us on Patreon and supporting us.
Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. Oh, and one last plug. My debut novel, Mother Revolution, which is about a single mother who finds out about a race of people shackled by code, that is available for patrons at the $2 and up level per episode as an ebook copy.
Yes.
And there will probably be more writing stuff on my end that patrons will get an extra dose of as well over time. But you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. For now, let's get on with the game.
So...
I do want to state, before you even guess anything, I'm going to give you a big clue here, but I have to kind of put this out there.
Okay.
I started this script a little while back.
Okay.
And didn't realize it was going to be in this episode order. So we're heading back to Wide Open Seas for the second episode in a row.
That's right. Well, luckily we had an extra week in between so that we're not hammering it over the head to everybody who listens. So
yeah, well, between this, Wind Waker, and Dave the Diver, it's been a lot of water-centric games recently.
I mean, the Earth is mostly actually water, so it's personally not a big deal to me. So there's a lot of water, and we've already covered Subnautica. So
I did not do a blind first hour of this game because my first hour of this game was played with friends many, many months ago.
I'm trying to remember.
This was our obsession for quite a few weeks.
How am I forgetting?
You didn't play it. That might be why.
So there's a certain friend who we know plays certain games with Mystic. But I'm thinking about the factory one right now.
No. Good guess. But that's not a lot of water either.
No. No, not unless you broke something. Jeez. Is it Raft?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it took forever. For a moment I was like, it's not the other one we already covered. That's Subnautica. Oh, yes.
Also, we already covered that one, so.
That's what I just said, Mystic, if you were listening.
Yeah. So, 2016, the free version was released on itch.io. I think we've had a couple that have been released there. 2018, early access on Steam, and the final version released in 2022.
Very cool.
Raft is a open-world survival sandbox video game developed by Swedish developer Red Beet Interactive and published by Axolot Games.
Now, is it beet as in the vegetable or beet as in like music?
As in the vegetable, B-E-E-T.
Red beet, okay.
We wake up in a raft with no clue how we got there at first. Luckily, we do have a journal. We are a forward scout, navigating a world that has been destroyed by climate change and relative inaction by the powers that be in the face of that climate change.
Getting political.
Yeah, I told you.
Political.
This is not the only thing that will be political, but most of this is just surface level of that degree.
It is a privilege to not think of things politically. That's
True.
all I'm going to say.
We are told in our journal that others have come before us and others will come after us. We must follow the path we find. There's going to be a bunch of names, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Okay, I'll do my best.
It's not
and I will definitely call them out if they're absolutely corny or campy.
Initially, we have little to our name. 4 square panels of wood platforms, a plastic hook, and a shark that won't leave us alone.
Which is why you don't go in the water.
You can. Be nimble. Be quick. The ocean is not without...
But there's no candlestick to jump, and my name's not Jack, so...
It could be, and there are candlesticks.
Oh!
The ocean is not without resources, though. Debris and garbage litter the blue expanse, and there's also rocks and scrap metal on the floor.
Okay.
And
what about drinkable water?
that takes some time.
Are we peeing into a contraption like in Waterworld?
There is definitely you definitely have a distill, which is a leaf that kind of collects stuff and drips it into a cup at one point, and yeah, water is not easy to come by.
Ugh.
It does get easier. It's one of those games that as you build and automate your stuff and find more resources, you build bigger and bigger things. So.
Okay.
Small islands do peek out above the surface, and provided we have a way to anchor ourselves, we can go explore them. Because if we lose our raft,
Okay.
or it gets destroyed, there is no building another one. And by lose our raft, I mean if you don't anchor it, it keeps going. And the nature of game design is that the world is around the raft.
Oh.
So if raft goes too far away, the world goes away.
Oh dear. That's an existential crisis if I've ever heard one.
But yeah, basically, if the raft gets destroyed, game over, because you can't actually build another one by itself. You have to have a platform to work with, at least.
So you at least have one square
Yeah.
to build off of.
Yeah.
If you wish to make more raft.
Yeah. And I saw conflicting reports. Some people said it couldn't be destroyed. Some people said it could be destroyed. I never had it get destroyed in my game, but also there is a lot of, 2016 free version on itch.io all the way up to 2022 with version 1.0. There's a lot of variation in terms of what responses you can get.
Yeah, and in addition, I'll say for you, Mystic, you and the friend that I know were playing this are both relatively risk-adverse when it comes to these games. You're more just kind of like, can I poke at it? Ah, no, I just want to build stuff again. Let me poke at it? Ah,
I got
no.
very good at killing the shark, actually.
You did. I forgot about that. You did.
Luckily, there are more than pure resources floating on the water, and eventually you will find blueprints for an antenna and a radio receiver.
Oh, nice.
Any radio signal is going to be coming from a place above water and has people, or at least infrastructure, built by people.
So you could go there to find things and meet people. Okay.
So we find the blueprints, build the radio tech, and get a signal, a small triangulation point to head toward. The first one that we find turns out to be a radio tower atop what I think appears to be an old oil derrick.
Okay.
Here, 3 engineers had taken shelter. We only know them as Cuckoo, Sparrow, and Owl.
So they're all birds.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sparrow at one point takes the only boat they have heading for the Selene research facility, apparently to build a type of nuclear reactor for the company they all work for.
Now, my question is, no, that I was gonna say, this was say a joke about carrying a coconut,
No.
but that's a swallow, not a sparrow. If anybody knows the reference,
Yeah.
good on you.
So Owl and Cuckoo are stranded with no boat and only a radio tower at their disposal. Sparrow has always been kind of distant and independent, and Owl suspects that they will never see her again. They
Okay.
monitor the radio, Cuckoo holding out hope that Sparrow is trying to communicate with them. She kind of took the only boat, so I don't know what good that really does, but the signals they pick up reveal a few things, like a distress call from an island called Balboa,
Okay.
that gunfire has erupted at Tangaroa City, and a distress call from another place called Varuna Point about a lost child, and a bunch of rafts heading for a place called Utopia, though that's likely some false hope.
Anytime a place calls themselves something like Utopia or the Promised Land preemptively, I just turn and run away as fast as possible. You are in a cult. Get out of the cult.
So there is a radio frequency from Selene, the research facility, but that's all we get there.
Oh.
But presumably Sparrow made it there to be able to send a radio signal. There's also a post-it note with a radio frequency and the tag people ?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There's nobody here.
Oh.
Everyone's gone.
Oh, when you finally get to the place.
When we get here, yeah.
Okay.
Punching in that new radio frequency will eventually get us to the Vasagatan, a yacht stuck in a small scattering of rocks.
Okay.
We find out that it is owned by Swedish politician and former general Olof Wilkström.
So Sweden, it still exists. We're just more ocean than necessary.
Not a lot exists.
I was gonna say.
So we'll get to it. The climate change doesn't make sense. There is absolutely no way this amount of water exists on Earth to begin with, even frozen in all the ice. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah, we'd probably still retain about half of our.
All of Australia is underwater. Like.
Oh, in this version?
Yeah.
With all the ice caps melting?
Yeah. Like, I don't see it happening.
It depends on what's sea level more than anything about the
True,
landmass itself.
But we're going to be going to varied biomes. There's no way that amount of land to be able to have these different biomes and stuff poking out. Skyscrapers poking out of water. Like,
Yeah,
stories and stories and stories.
They're
high.
miles high, though, if you have skyscrapers. Yeah, skyscrapers are at least a couple miles high sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way there's this much water.
I'm suspicious, and not just because I like the idea of Waterworld, but also just because of how much water is in the ice on the polar ice caps.
We'll get to my issue later.
Okay.
So either way, we have this former general, Olof Wilkström. He doesn't like to take his responsibilities to the people of Stockholm that seriously, choosing to live in the lap of luxury on his own yacht rather than do anything at all to help the people who are dealing with the climate crisis.
This sounds like the kind of politicians a lot of us are done with these days.
Yes. The main problem is he doesn't do a very good job of supplying the boat for the long term either. The bar may be fully stocked, but it's otherwise severely lacking.
Again, not a long-term plan. Another thing that we find to be a flaw in politicians we no longer wish to support in general.
Things get worse when mutated rats appear in the ship's hold, consuming around half of the already meager supplies.
Mutated rats. Do they have like webbed feet or something?
They're like dire rats. They're big.
They're big.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of this is very frustrating to the crew. Olaf seems to be not bothered at all as long as he himself is able to survive, which shows him to be insanely short-sighted.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh man, you just when push comes to shove and we have to start considering eating people, you want to make sure you're as likable as possible.
Managing a vessel of this size is not easy without a crew, and his crew thought he'd be much more practical due to his military background. His chief engineer, Hane, regrets ever signing up for this and is finding herself missing her mate, Ruben, who left for one of the floating cities that Olaf was supposed to be helping create.
Okay.
Now, the whole supplies and rats thing gets a little weird. Olaf threatens to terminate some of his crew over the ration shortage.
Where are they supposed to go if they're fired?
No, like.
Oh,
Yeah.
like end their life entirely. Oh, but he's outnumbered.
I don't know. His cheese has slipped off his cracker. He's a few puppies short of a litter.
Yeah, and how is he going to do? How is he supposed to do this?
We'll get to how he thinks he's going to do this. So he tells his crew to bring him one of the mutated rats, which they call lurkers, alive. When they succeed, Olaf decides that the rats are his loyal soldiers now and goes about training them.
This is starting to sound more Sam and Max than anything else right now.
The captain, meanwhile, has realized that the supplies aren't the only problem. The maps they have are basically completely useless due to the fact that the water is rising and removing all landmarks and everything. Mm-hmm. So they're essentially lost on an endless ocean. Olaf tries to get the captain to believe the crew is going to mutiny, but it's a complete fabrication. The captain knows everyone is just trying to survive, save for Olaf, who is starting to appear more and more insane.
Yeah.
Things don't end well for the people here. Or I should say things end ambiguously for the people here. The ship runs aground and they all head for the lifeboats, only to find that Olaf has taken the lifeboat, along with some of the lurkers that he's trained. The rest are still on the ship. And the last thing we hear in the recordings is a lurker snarling, people screaming, and then it cuts off mid-screaming.
Yeah, that's not a happy thought.
No.
That's not.
Could be running, just running, get out of there. Could be being eaten.
This sounds like the end of the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Sorry, excuse me. It took me a moment to make sure I was referencing which one. The remake of Dawn of the Dead kind of ends like that, where they're like, "Oh, we must have found it. There's a refuge. There's an island." And nope. That's not what they found, guys. That's So, also there was a zombie head in a cooler, man. That traumatized me for days.
We eventually find our way to Balboa Island, a mountain peak nature reserve that is now just a scattering of islands. Mm-hmm. The story here is also a bit weird. I'm going to say that probably a lot. Two siblings, Bruno and Astrid Correa, are sent to Balboa to maintain the 6 relay stations over a 3-month period. The rising sea levels caused 3 of those towers to sink.
Okay.
As you may expect, with the climate catastrophe and all, their replacements never arrive.
Yeah. So it's just the 2 of them stuck forever.
Somehow, and we have no idea how, Astrid goes missing.
Oof.
This sends Bruno into a spiral, and he basically loses his mind due to the stress of fending off the bears and keeping everything running on the towers as best he can. Mm-hmm. Being stranded alone, Bruno makes scrap and garbage statues, quote, children, that he creates to keep himself company.
Okay.
Think basically a bunch of Wilsons, except Bruno goes a bit further and invents stories and histories for each one and then gets invested in the stories.
I mean, he has nothing but free time. What else is he supposed to do?
I'm not saying I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, people are making it sound like this is insane, but honestly, you can't, mentally a human can't actually handle being alone.
Right. He gets so attached, though, he eventually comes to believe that they are his children.
Okay. Yeah, so, years ago, somebody said, sometimes the most logical thing that you can do is go insane.
Right.
And I can't be mad at this guy.
No, I'm not mad at him.
I think this is the most logical thing he could do. He had to keep a hallucination around to stay somewhat sane and functional.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I believe you.
Yeah.
But he also wants to bring them on his quest to find Astrid now.
Okay.
Problem is, he can only fit 2 of the kids in his boat.
Oh, well, that's what birth control is for.
He basically, his brain basically concocts a reason to not bring some of the kids, as some of the kids kill the other kid, Errol, so that they can fit into the boat. But in the end, he brings Miranda and Henry as he leaves the island to find Astrid, leaving Bobby behind to fend off the bears, and the triplets, Rosa, Diana, and Lydia, to manage the relay stations. All of these are statues.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Finding our way to Caravan Town next,
Do any of these places actually have people by the time we get there?
No.
Oh, this is really sad.
Well, no, that's not true, actually. We do find people, but they never have any real story. We're unlocking characters that we can play as.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
These people we're talking about have stories, but people we meet are just there. They never come with us.
They're more just stationary NPCs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
From what I remember, again, it's been a while since I played this.
All right.
And maybe I missed something. So.
Okay.
Yeah. We find our way to Caravan Town next. It was once a raft town, but they managed to find a rocky prominence, and the mountaintop is now covered with RVs and like shelters and stuff.
Okay.
As well as a raft city that's also abutting this prominence, this rock. Mm-hmm. And basically only certain people are allowed to be on the land.
Oh, interesting.
Including Detto, a child scientist who is trying to save the world. And basically, Detto, his family, and some of his friends also are there. He's trying to save the world in his own way. Like, kid scientist, I'm going to save the world.
Okay.
Right? So he builds a water pump to help drain the ocean.
Where's the water going to pump to?
He's a kid. That's not the problem. You know?
Okay.
Builds a diving suit with a bicycle-driven air supply, which is kind of smart.
Also
builds a rocket to explore other planets. No, but kid has lofty goals to be sure, and pretty smart.
Okay.
Yeah, these are all built out of garbage, basically. So
that's fair.
Things go from nice to far, far worse when a stranger comes to town by the name of Olaf Wilkstrom.
Oh no! Oh, not this guy! Not him again!
Around this time is when a sickness begins to spread through the town, starting with the butchers.
Did he sell the rats?
Detto's mom and the town doctor both fall ill. The doctor eventually diagnoses the illness as salmonella.
Oof.
Detto and his friend Sanjay sneak onto Olaf's ship looking for medicine to help Detto's mom, only to find the large and angry lurkers from the Vasagatan on board, as well as an abnormally large hyena. Now, hyenas were on the island of Caravan Town before. Like that.
So did that sneak on, or
more like Olaf took it? Sanjay even finds notes Olaf wrote about how he trained animals into his own private army, so he's still on that kick.
Oh, jeez.
Olaf decides to speak directly to the townspeople, saying that he left the floating city projects because the people in charge didn't want the working class to have a place in the cities. Of course, the people have no idea about the mess on the Vasagatan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have no idea. They're trusting that this guy's a representative of the people, apparently.
Right. And he's not.
No, never will be.
But because they have no idea about this, and they are definitely the have-nots, they kind of buy into the story.
Oh.
With Olaf stoking the flames and tells the people they should take up arms and invade the nearby floating city of Tangaroa, which will lead us to the nearby floating city of Tangaroa.
Jesus, Olaf, just making everything worse. It's like a miniature Ted Faro.
Still probably your most hated person, right?
Absolutely my most hated person in this entire... Possibly only topped by... although not nearly in larger scope, by the one episode we never released.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Patrons know about that one.
Patrons know about that one.
Because we never released it to them, but we've told them about it.
Yes, we have.
I think we've talked about it in a couple streams. And
there were a couple streams. Somebody guessed it, and we were like, yep, that's the one.
And everyone was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Once you know the lore, you're like, oh, nope, we don't. And it's one of my, I'll be honest, it's one of my triggers. And then after we recorded, I had to tell Mystic, I'm sorry, we can't post this one. So we had to I should say Mystic on the fly researched one because he's amazing like that. But it was unfortunate.
That was the let's pitch over to.
Oh, I know which one. I don't remember what it's called,
it's a GameCube game where you can.
Ghost. It was essentially like a ghost hunting GameCube game.
It was I don't remember what it was called off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, but I remember some of the cutscenes off the top of my head. Sorry. So anyway, sidetrack back to the actual. So there's a hyena now.
There will be more.
Oh my gosh.
Tangaroa is a project rushed into use well before it was ready. On its surface, it's immaculate, a full city within a great dome that floats on the water. we're talking skyscrapers, stores, apartments, farms for food, and more. In fact, this is the first time in a story location that there's a way to resupply ourselves without going back to our raft.
Oh, wow.
Because like all these places, you're continually going back to your raft to get food, to heal up.
But there's an actual economy supported in there.
There are some vending machines that have food and water.
Is anybody still in?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
This is...
yes, but no. Like, we're just unlocking people. We're not getting story from them usually.
It's okay,
Yeah.
but that's so depressing.
Yeah, most of these places are complete ghost towns. But the vending machines also take Tangaroa specific currency, vending machine tokens. So Tangaroa really does have everything, including capitalism.
Yuck.
And script money. So
Yuck.
Ruben was the chief engineer here. If you don't remember, he is the significant other to Hane, the lead engineer aboard the Vasakatan.
Yes, the ill-fated
Yes.
engineer.
So Captain Tully is faced with a bunch of rafts coming from Caravan Town heading toward the city. Mm-hmm. And basically tells Ruben, push the engines to their maximum or past that. Ruben isn't happy about the plan. Being
Right.
an engineer, he knows that when the engines fail, they'll be dead in the water.
Right.
In fact, it doesn't take an engineer to know that much. But also, much of their infrastructure could also fail as a result.
Yeah.
So, of course, Tangaroa loses power and the engines cut out just 2 days after being at maximum. Turns out there was a beetle infestation in the fuel line because Murphy's Law says things will go wrong.
Yes. The story demands it.
The rich people who call this city home get more than a little upset. The city isn't moving. Their food supplies are dwindling due to the spread of the aforementioned beetle infestation.
Oh, jeez.
The infrastructure is
Eat the beetles.
No, those are gross.
What?
Yeah.
We are living in the end times. Eat the beetles.
These people are living in a floating city that has security and butler robots. They are not surviving.
Okay, no. I guess I know what we should be eating instead, and that's all I'll say.
The infrastructure is in need of serious work all of a sudden because we pushed it too hard. And then the rafters from Caravan Town make it to the city. As the people from Caravan Town make their way into the city proper, Captain Tully orders the security to shoot to wound, going directly against the security chief's protest who wanted to use water cannons.
Blast them away. That makes sense.
Also, far less lethal.
Far less lethal.
The rafters end up releasing Olaf's lurkers into the city
Oh, great.
and also give the butler bots tasers, which just makes everything a complete mess. Also, these things are...
This is the dumbest war I've heard about in a long time.
Since Firmament, right?
No, that war wasn't dumb. It was poorly plotted out.
That's fair.
And there weren't enough clues for it, which is why I made a friggin' one shot. Okay, moving on.
So, when I was playing this, these butler bots, like, they're not the most dangerous thing in the world. I think I died to one once because I fell and then it shocked me. They're just an annoyance, and they just are everywhere throughout the city.
Right.
Anyway, so everything's a complete mess. Olaf is, of course, just reveling in this chaos that he's created. The fighting over the lacking resources, the fact that the captain is way over his head and locked up in the cockpit with a dozen rich people, eventually, everyone just decides to leave Tangaroa, a failed city.
Okay. That everybody leaves. So you just keep finding all these abandoned spots.
Yes, you do.
It would make me feel like, so humanity's just over then. Like, our turn existing on this planet is done.
But we are following people. Because even here we have evidence that Dedo is on one of those rafts. He's not attacking. He's just a kid. But
Yeah.
he floats into the waterhold, and Ruben takes him in. Together, they build a small boat. We're using a engine from one of the security carts, actually.
Okay.
And leave Tangaroa themselves. We then find ourselves at Varuna Point, a large construction project that's basically a continuation of two skyscrapers that breach the surface.
Okay.
They are joined by a bridge halfway down that is now underwater, and also surrounded by jellyfish. Pains in the butt.
Get stung all the time, I imagine.
You have to move them out of the way with the light puzzle, and yeah, it's a pain.
You can't just boop them with a stick?
No.
What happens if you boop them with a stick?
I don't remember, actually. I know
I
you
mean,
can.
jellyfish, their only defense is essentially like zapping or poisoning you. You just boop them with a stick and they're done.
This is also one of the few places where you can go really deep. So there's like air bubbles that are coming up that you can use to like get O2 and stuff if you don't have the oxygen intake.
What is this, Super Mario 64?
Well, there you get coins.
Fair. Different. Very different. Similar but different.
We're back to a bit of a weird one again, as the construction project was fully abandoned due to the grabber.
Okay, rude. What are you grabbing, you creep? What's going on?
The grabber is actually a construction worker at Verona Point, but he's not really into his job. The one thing he is really into, though, is stealing. He steals so much stuff.
They didn't call him the klepto. They called him the grabber.
He steals so much stuff that the project is forced to basically stop completely, and the rest of the crew just leaves.
Oh my gosh. It is always one person ruining it for everybody else.
And
what is with that?
As people come to Verona Point, the grabber steals from them, all the refugees and rafters. Everything he steals ends up in his hoard of goods. Problem is, he's great at stealing, terrible at planning. His cachet ends up under the water surface.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God.
Doesn't stop his ways, though, as he steals from people we know. Bruno made a stop here and erected a satellite dish on top of the crane. And by satellite dish, I mean a bunch of sticks and a metal plate. It's not even connected to anything. He's still looking for Astrid and doesn't find any sign of her, likely because his satellite dish is a bunch of sticks and a metal plate. The grabber actually steals Miranda, one of Bruno's children, if you don't remember. Bruno is understandably upset by this and leaves.
Just leaves.
Gets in his boat and goes. The grabber even gets something from Ruben and Dedo, a bag of old tools.
Oh my gosh. And all of this is underwater by the time that you get there.
No, like the tops of the skyscrapers are still above water.
No, but I mean his cache.
His cache is, yes. There's also a big rhinoceros shark thing that you have to fight, but I'm not doing gameplay or bosses. I mean, not bosses yet.
Rhinoceros shark thing.
I believe it's a real thing. It's basically a big shark with a huge like protuberance on its front.
I'm willing to believe it. This is the point of the episode where I'd like to remind everybody that sharks, as a species, are older than trees. Once again, sharks have been on this planet as a species in one form or another longer than trees have been on this planet in one form or another.
Yep.
Just putting that out there.
So, Dedo and Ruben continue on toward the frozen land of Temperance. Now, before you ask, I have no idea how the world flooded.
Yeah.
Newspapers talk about how all the ice will melt and how Australia's underwater, and yet we have this frozen section.
But how much frozen is left?
Fair. It still feels like a lot of water for the amount of ice. I played this part, did the laser puzzle, all that.
There's whole continents on either end of the planet covered in ice, Mystic.
Right.
Miles high.
Oh, fine.
And then when ice falls in, it just raises the water level more. I mean, you've put ice in a glass and just let it sit. You know what happens.
Suffice to say, I don't know why this climate change ran away and happened within 2 years. Like, I do not know the lore reason for it. I saw some explanations about maybe a reactor, maybe this. There was no concrete info.
Yeah, maybe.
So if anybody has something that might shed some light on this, let us know in the usual contact methods like our Discord channel, please. Anyway, I
think with Olaf, I think the commentary is that this is because the politicians only started doing something 2 years ago, and that 2 years ago is decades too late.
Well, fair. Anyway, this frozen, fairly large landmass actually has a town of domed habitats.
Okay.
A observatory and a huge nuclear power station. In fact, this is part of the Selene research facility that Sparrow left for way back when we were talking about the radio tower with Cuckoo and Owl.
Yeah.
So she did make it here. We have evidence, but as always, we don't find her.
Oh my gosh, we find nobody.
Nope. Bruno also made it here, somehow finding a signal, or imagining a signal, that led him here in hopes that he would find Astrid. He's still kind of distraught over Miranda being stolen, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Before he can leave, though, his boat is destroyed by polar bears, leaving him stranded.
Oh, there's polar bears now.
Yes.
Jeez.
Luckily for Bruno, Detto and Ruben arrive on the frozen island. However, dealing with continual polar bear attacks has left Ruben injured. Bruno helps at the infirmary. This is like a little infirmary in the domed habitat city. Bruno goes through a bit of a change. He is just elated to have real people around again.
I know. I mean, I'm sure he starts forgetting about the metal people.
Well, in fact, he doesn't forget about them. He still thinks about them. But, Henry, the last kid he has with him, stops talking to him.
Oh, wow. Jealous. I see.
So they leave Henry at the observatory, and Detto fixes up Bruno's ship, and they all head on to a new island. Heading back to Sparrow for a moment, it turns out that she left the radio tower because she believed Owl was actually a corporate spy working for the investors who were in fact responsible for this whole mess all over the planet.
Oh dear. Okay.
And she didn't know if she could trust Cuckoo.
I mean, he is a cuckoo. The trust is already not there.
This facility was actually a prototype for the reactors to be used in the floating cities, but they lacked the personnel to ever move out of the prototype phase.
Well, yet they all drowned, I'm sure.
We finally get a radio beacon, though, for Utopia, the last location, but also the one with real people.
Oh.
And where Bruno, Detto, and Sparrow all went to. Problem is, one of those aforementioned investors has shown up there and has started taking control. Any guesses?
Olaf.
Olaf Wilkstrom has taken control of Utopia.
Oh, jeez. You know, you say Olaf, and I imagine that he's also just the little snowman from the movie. Oh, jeez. Frozen. How did I forget the name of the movie? I was about to call it Let It Go, but no, that's the name of the song.
When we get there, we find a Raft city in the middle of and connected to skyscrapers.
Okay.
Yeah. Colorful rafts and dwellings cover not only the connecting rafts, but also wind up the buildings in a way.
Wait, what happened to Ruben? Ruben didn't, perish.
No.
Okay.
No.
Is he over there with everybody else then? Okay.
This is a full community that is flourishing, except for being told there's so many people here, it's empty. In fact, it's practically a ghost town.
Oh.
Only a couple large hyenas roam the streets, quote unquote. There is one strange thing, a large cabin or house locked with chains and a padlock. A note outside lays it all out. Hannah, the engineer we talked about, says that Olaf locked all of the Utopia citizens in the hut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So working our way through the various buildings and puzzles, we eventually come face to face with Olaf. So Olaf's main belief, deluded though it may be, is that he invested in the city projects and in Utopia. And as one of the primary investors, he feels that he should have complete control as he is clearly the only one capable of running the settlement.
That's really bad logic, but I can understand why somebody as delulu as him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He clearly is of the mindset that because he has money, that means he is somehow good at anything.
You know, a lot of people think that these days. And then support it with the things they've made with their money, without testing to see if the things they've made with their money are actually worth their time. This is not a political show, I promise you.
We, of course, know that his premise is faulty.
And so is his brain. His brain is absolutely faulty.
Our battle with him comes in stages. The first time we meet, well, fight, I guess, he just throws dynamite towards us a bunch. Whatever. The second we get close to him...
I'm surprised he didn't blow himself up in the process, honestly.
He just keeps throwing it. It's gamified, whatever.
So suddenly I'm thinking about BioShock, where you have the thing where you can catch stuff and toss it back.
No, so the main gimmick in this town is you have to kind of build up boxes to, it's building boxes to, get up and stuff.
This feels like one of the things little buddy, a free build thing over at Gen Con. You can, build your own castles and stuff with boxes. Yeah, so this is totally a little buddy puzzle.
So
okay.
we build up towards him. We get up on the ledge he's on. He runs off. Chasing him down again, we find him in a warehouse with only one path is to go down onto the warehouse floor. Basically, he has us trapped. We have to get up to him again. Same deal, but our efforts are this time hampered by a bunch of hyenas and coming in waves.
Yikes.
He runs off again. This time,
Yikes.
when we find him we have to fight Alpha, a mutated super large hyena that has, like, every time we stick it, it leaves a poison puddle. Every time yeah, and it also has special attacks when it eats a steak, so he's constantly tossing its steaks, and it's invulnerable. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Dispatching it, we finally get up and come face to face with Olaf, who has nowhere left to go. He, as you might have guessed, has absolutely no desire to fight us. He is a rich coward who likely was a general who never saw combat or paid his way up the ranks or was just honorary.
Oh, he's actually a general?
I believe so, yeah. He has a military background. I don't know if he actually was a general, but he's listed as a military...
I mean, near the end of society there, I'm sure the standards were very low.
Fair. He backs away from us, tripping and falling through a glass window, falling down to the city below. He doesn't die, rather he is trapped in cabling.
Nice.
Literally dangling above the ground with a key dangling from his neck on a chain that happens to unlock the hut holding all the citizens.
Hooray! Good for us.
So when we unlock it, the game kind of ends. You can do stuff after the game ends, but all the citizens are free. Olaf is alive, but imprisoned. Not everyone is here, though. After the credits, we get some updates on people, and there's some after-credit gameplay still. Like, you can still keep playing.
Okay.
Dedo begins to work with Hane on his experiments, though she's also helping with the new Forward Scouts. Okay. Sparrow goes off to look for Cuckoo.
Yeah, because she still wasn't sure one way or another.
Yeah. Bruno goes to look for Astrid.
Yep, that makes sense.
Also mentions he wants to go back and help all the people on Balboa, which there weren't any, except for his...
children.
Yeah. Generally, life does get to be good again, but there's a couple loose ends that we don't really get any closure for.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Raft.
Wow, that's a lot more story than I suspected, considering...
It's kind of like Power Wash Simulator. I mean, you expect more story than Power Wash Simulator, but it's more than you expect for this game.
Yeah. I mean, no. I do expect it more than Power Wash Simulator. I would say proportionally the expectation, though... In Power Wash Simulator, I expected no story whatsoever, and what I was given was a ridiculous, absurdist epic that could only be better written by John Scalzi. And then here in Raft, I expected maybe like little hints of a story, and what I got was actually a full-fledged, like, multiple ensemble sort of
There
journey.
is a lot of hints that you kind of have to put together, and I'm indebted to Ali Dove on YouTube, who kind of helps break it all down, because honestly, when we were playing, I was not the one who was getting all of the notes and stuff, and they only play for like one person or whatever.
Oh.
So I was missing a lot of stuff. Like, I had the...
So our friend was the one getting all of the... Sometimes
it was me, sometimes it was one of... Basically, whoever was... Yeah, it was weird. It could also be back from when we were playing. Maybe they fixed that. Maybe it was something that we didn't realize was an option somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, there was definitely a story that I had no idea about until I was doing the research for this episode.
Yeah, that's a little different than like with Power Wash Simulator. It kind of forces the story on you to the point where it becomes the whole point of why you're power washing.
I mean, you can fully ignore the story in that game though too. It's just like, why am I cleaning an RV? Why am I
a relic? Is this a space? I guess I'm playing.
But you can just not pay attention, and you can not pay attention here, except for the fact that you can occasionally pick up audio recordings and stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah, and some stuff does get added to your journal, so it's there. But
okay, all right.
But yeah, you'll be playing Raft. You probably won't get too much story because
Raft. I remember Raft. I think part of the reason you liked it is because we used to play 7 Days to Die a lot during the pandemic, which has its flaws in my opinion, and also has a lot of fun stuff going for it for how co-op it is. Oh no, Mystic's shaking his head. He's like,
I don't like the new updates.
They did update it, and we have not played it since as a group. We used to play as a group with the same friend that you've been playing Raft with and a few others.
We none of us who play it at all recently are like, why do they keep doing this? It seems like they have whatever. I'm not going to get into it. So.
No. That's a that's a Patreon. Let's do that as a Patreon exclusive of talking about our experience of 7 Days to Die.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I heard you sigh. No, I'm not going to play 7 Days to Die. We're going to talk about our experience with 7 Days to Die. But I think part of the reason you liked Raft, it was very much that same idea of like there's a little bit of risk, but you're hunting for resources, putting them together, getting recipes, becoming more resourceful, actually kind of making your own little palace in certain ways. The difference is then you didn't have the blood moon where everything proceeds to attack you all at once.
Right, you just have a shark that continually bites parts of your ship, your raft apart.
Okay, so so a much slower, steady kind of,
So, anyway.
Well, thanks so much so the Thursday after this is out to the public, I will be playing the first hour of Raft. You can get a chance to see what it looks like there, see if you want to play it on your own, especially since it's now on Steam. And then, as we mentioned before, alternate Thursdays, we do Mass Effect 2.
We're still in the middle of that. We have a little bit to go. We're getting, probably I'd say towards the last third.
Yes, and you've been kind of pushing some very significant story elements towards that end that we could have gotten by now, but you just decided to finish everything first.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that, and if you want to catch up on it, it's on our YouTube channel.
And of course, patrons will get to vote for the game we do after Mass Effect 2.
Yes, there will be a gap before Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, we'll eventually do Mass Effect 3, and I'm sure we'll do Andromeda at some point or whatever comes after.
I am the Pathfinder. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my God. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.